Welcome back. Happy Friday, everyone. Let's get it going. I'm gonna ignore this well pulse red thing. Literally, I refreshed X, and first thing that pops up is PLS has moved down by 9.9%. I could only assume Hex has as well. I could be wrong. So I'm not gonna let that. I'm gonna push that away. That I'm gonna go. That's not momentum. Momentum is going up at some point in the future when ready. 10,000x. That's what I'm gonna focus on. Focus on that right now. So very excited. I love to have these. Love to have the Hex streams. Remind people about the glory of the Hex token, and hopefully the future number go up a whole lot as well. But it's pretty cool. So HEX Bulls only. Got a lot of bullish stats. Got almost had 4 people on stream today. Almost, but I think actually we rounded up. We took 4, including me. It's pretty good on the square side, so I'll take it. Anyways, without further ado, welcome back to the show. All 3 people that have websites. Crispy Man, Hex Jita, and Crypto Kong. How's it going, gents?
What's going on?
Good.
We're having the website green room chat. I was like, Liv Sloth would have had the website too. Everyone here built a website in one way, and in more than one probably.
Mm-hmm. That is true. That's true, man. And big hey now.
Hey,
good to see you guys.
Yeah, good meeting you, Crispy. After yeah.
Oh, you guys haven't? First time you all been on screen together?
First time on screen. Yeah, but we've messaged here and there.
Oh yeah, definitely message with first time on screen. I forget sometimes all the different people, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Data Hexkins talk to Data Hexkins, I would say too. Yeah.
Daters. I like
Daters.
Crypto Kong as well. Look into PTGC. Nice domain. I've got to look into domain.
Thank you. Yeah, so just...
Oh, you're there. I can't hear you, but now I can. No, I couldn't hear you at first.
Yeah, no.
He's the logo in the middle.
Kong's the king, baby.
Or you're the top right.
Yeah, we got the PulseChain logo, and then the Hex on top of that, and then hopefully we see something. I think Icosa is coming up soon. So
I got both of them. This was before launch. I had this shirt. This is before launch. Before there was any... This is not signaling any kind of debate. Not signaling anything, but like there are 2 hexes going to be. The shirt's like 3 or 4 years old, I think.
Go Hex, go!
I like it. It's a great token. Gents, is there any reason? Go ahead.
I was just going to throw to you, man. You said, "Hey, we're going to talk about Hex." Actually, you just sent me a note and said, "Hey, do you want to come on?" So I said yes. So I have
usually the way it goes.
Yeah, but topics usually Hex, right? I'm going to sound a little weird, probably a little weird today, but in general, just because there's so much happening on chain, but I've never been more bullish. But I that incredible things will probably happen. I expect that they're going to happen in terms of price appreciation and that type of stuff. The thing is, I have no idea when and exactly what the circumstances will be and all that junk. But I'm like, I've never been more bullish now, even though I get that it's very hard to be bullish on like Hex staking per se. But I think that's a mistake for people. That's my backstory. But I've never been more bullish about Hex other than now.
Yeah.
It is hard to be. I mean, yeah, I'll let you guys talk on that too. It's just like, how have things not aligned in a way, low liquidity, I'm sure we'll get into as well, in a way that's like Hex. I mean, what is stopping it from doing enormous runs? Like, except the buy pressure that when ready, but it's like, it's prime, and it looks pretty primed. What do you think, Gita?
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the OA staking has been priced in yet. I'm still kind of in shock that actually happened, just the amount that got staked, and then the payouts getting cut by around 75%. I think that is really bullish for price. Obviously staking, it's reduced the yield a lot, and so staking is less attractive. We've seen yields come down quite a bit, but yeah, I'm just really shocked that the OA took that action. I actually built a page that details that action in depth, and it was just across so many different wallets. I didn't even do them all. I did like anything over 50 million Hex per stake, because it was just like anything below that, it just got into like hundreds and thousands of stakes, which were like 30 million, 20 million, 10 million, and then it starts blending in with user stakes, right? And I'm like not sure if it's the OA or not. So
100%, dude. Yeah, people keep asking me, "Hey, man, can't you change this so you can do this? You can isolate out the OA." At this point, what's the point? I mean, I couldn't even tell you the list is correct. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's like, man, I'm like, let's just figure out how to live with the fact that we know it's out there. And like you just did, you triage some of them. Like I know when I go look at a certain date, it's so big. It's obviously the OA is on it, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, taking back, so we're gonna have to deal with the fact that it has become not unknowable, but nearly unknowable. I mean, you couldn't even keep it up to date, you know, to be, you know, the way you would with data, right? Like, you know, you tell me there's 10,000 addresses. How many are OA? There's 3,333. I couldn't tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
And tomorrow it might change. I have no control over what the OA does. And because I don't know the addresses, they could be changing underneath the fabric, right? So from a data perspective, right? And so I think it doesn't matter, right? We just know it's a lot. It's big. It built out this huge, I mean, this is like we were, I don't know, for boaters out there, maybe, is that we were already out on the ocean on this huge catamaran, right? With these huge stabilizers on the side, and now we just increase the stabilizers by 100x.
Yeah.
Like we're not, this thing's going in one direction only. And now that doesn't mean price. What I mean, how it operates and how it works, and how well it can weather any storm. It's just there. And I think you know, I wish I understood or knew what's going on in his head, because I think he set it up to. I think HEX has been set up to truly challenge even things like treasuries. I mean, it's just incredible.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's the piece too that I think gets so underrated. It's like I've talked about this before. It seems so obvious that it's set up to do, again, set up low inflation, low liquidity. All these pieces keep coming together. If you were thinking, I mean, if you were Richard, you're speculating on his moves, or you're thinking you're, like Crypto, like kind of in his head, it's like, I don't know, it just feels obvious that it's setting up to be this big pivotal event where we kick off and we start doing the glory runs and all that stuff. It's just like, it's hard for me to find the other scenario. Like why would anyone with this much power in the ecosystem set it up that way if we weren't going to do these things?
Hey, did you hear me say that I've never been more bullish?
You said it once at least.
So I did say it. So now what I'm going to say is sound like that I don't feel that way, but I do feel bullish about it. This is not going to play out entirely over the next year. This is going to continue to play out over the next 15 years and the next 20 years.
Break
this
that
is
down.
not, yeah, because here, this is like this huge piece of machinery that I often will use like an oil tanker or a cruise ship kind of example, where there's course corrections, but it takes so goddamn long. It's so long, and you know, because while we are set up certainly for some really violent volatility short term, the long term effects won't be, you won't be able to truly see them for another 2, 3, 4 years. It's kind of like back when we were looking at the T-share rate, and it was around 25K, and everybody's like, yeah, it's going to go up. Yeah, we know it's going up, blah, blah, blah. Right. Well, you fast forward, now it's 42. Right. But it was hard to kind of, even though we knew it, it's hard to envision that, hey, it's going to almost double, over a couple of years. And now it's 42. And you know what's going to happen? Sure, it's slowed down a little bit because the OA staked. But here's the thing. The rate of increase slowed down for the T-share rate. This is all going somewhere, to answer your question. The rate of increase has slowed down, but the rate that users can get T-shares has really gone down. Like there's a gap. Like T-share rates are going up into the right at a rate that you will not keep up with. You can't even pretend to keep up with if you're a new staker. And then the old stakers are in there. They can't keep up either. Right. There was, the big payday guys, they could come out and do a stake and do like kind of get close. No more, baby. Right. So you got to commit or you're out, But the thing is, you know, who cares? I mean, people like, I don't care. I mean, I'm only here until the end of this year. They're not thinking about 4 years, you know, like we might be thinking about, or 8 years, 12 years from now.
Interesting too, like we always go with this ethos, or I guess belief, what we'd like to see happen. The true believers get rewarded. And, you know, it's kind of like, I guess part of that was like, okay, if you stake longer, you get more APY and you get all that stuff. And then that was kind of like a very tangible piece to, okay, if you delay gratification longer, you get more rewards, bigger pays better, longer pays better, all that stuff. Now, though, with inflation cut so much, what you're saying, Crispy, it's like, I mean, it almost feels like even more like only the true believers are going to be rewarded, because you got to believe that over that period of time, you can't rely on APY. You're relying on price appreciation, and you got some APY, but it's like over a long period of time, you have to be aligned with success for HEX to do these things.
Yeah, and what we're describing is how HEX was designed. What I was describing is how it's designed anyways. It has now just become much more pronounced. You know, we have 50% of the T-shares that come out every month. They don't get recreated, right? That's probably going to continue. That might continue just like that, right? And it's hard to see because you got all the OA scatter out there, all the clutter, right? And so it's be hard for people to visualize it. But here's the thing: is this is a virtual. It's going to be a virtual value. I'm going to call it money printer, but it's a value printer. A money printer that prints in HEX, right? And you can't get very much edge right now or in the future to be able to print your own HEX. It just got cut off. You had your time. You had 5 years of distribution to have gotten in, found out about it, gotten in, got yourself set up. From here on out, it's going to become really, really rare. And so in order to take advantage of that, right, you'd have to go buy HEX, right? And here's the thing: is this is the liquidity system within PulseChain is so thick. You can compare it and say, wait, it's not that thick or whatever. But how it's set up, though, within the system, is that HEX has an entrance and exit path. There's always liquidity, always going to be liquidity. And so you don't want to participate. That's great. The OA is going to get the lion's share. Anybody else that gets carried along with the staking, they'll be able to just print HEX, you know, forever, because I'll have the HEX to do it. So.
I think what I was going to say as well, and it kind of ties into what Crispy Man and like Jada was saying as well, is I think people do underestimate like the long-term vision and like the long-term staking and the long-term view with HEX, and even probably Richard as well. And there is probably people who do like shorter stakes, especially I think before we had the OA doing a lot of the staking. I think you had people doing like the rolling day stakes and stuff like that. But I think you had a lot of people who overlooked and didn't quite see like the long-term value and the long-term vision of compounding all your T shares for 5 days, right? And then earning that daily payout, no matter if it's 6 or 2 or 1 HEX, however much it is, but it's going to be a substantial amount after 15 years, right? Especially compared to, and maybe I'll pull up Crispy's calculator here in a little bit, but even compared to like 5 years versus 10 years, and then 10 years versus 15 years, you'll see a substantial difference doing a full 5 length 5 than doing even a 10-year stake, which I think even in the beginning, Richard said, since the bonus maxed out at 10 years for the longer pays better, then he didn't see a point in staking for longer than 10 years. But I think we've seen with a lot of the data now that that extra 50% longer, or like 5 years in compounding, contributes like quite heavily to your yield. So
yeah, I think it's akin to like when you do compounding, you're trying to figure out, hey, should I compound every hour, or should I compound every day, or should I compound it once a week? You know, and I think that's how it comes out. It's like, yes, it gives you a market increase over time, but there's probably a sweet spot. But with everything we have going on with HEX, why would you do anything other than a Quattro Cinco now? And that's crazy, right? Now I know there's things I want to get done in between now and Quattro Cinco, but I have perpetuals, I have actuator. The HSI protocol is being rewritten, right, or whatever was going to come out with Rev 2. I mean, there will be some other options, and so being able to have either stay liquid and take profit, or stake, or do both, right? But you have so many options with it now, so I don't, yeah.
I think, I think it's always good to hedge a bit and do everything, like I have liquid HEX, and then I'm also staking because I think the price is going to run up so hard. It would also be kind of irresponsible not to 45 years. Yeah. I mean, it's a big commitment, right? 15 years, especially when you don't know what the OA will do, right? And I was going to ask you, Crispy, how has your mentality to projections changed since the action? Because you were projecting a lot, right? Like, this is what the payout will be, and this is what the t-shirt will be. Like, are we on track? Are we off track? And obviously you don't know until certain people either end or don't end their stakes, but then suddenly a big player can come in, and then all your projections are kind of,
Well, the OA really is the only one with the power to have done that, and they have, right? Maybe God will could like affect things a little bit, but not like the OA just did, right? And so the way things have laid out is, I mean, everything's still fairly predictable. I mean, the longer the time frame, the less accurate it's going to be. But we know the t-shirt rate's going to go up to the right. We know the payouts are going to go up and to the right. We know that the payout for t-shirt will vary based on participation, but there's so many stakes in by the OA. Even that isn't going to vary very much, right?
Yeah.
It just steadies the whole thing, right? And so I mean, it's actually made things easier. I mean, we'll know. I think things will be even more solid, right? Like projection wise,
because of the length of the OA stakes as well. Do you think?
So big and long, and big and long. That's for you. That's for you, Dip Catcher. Big and long.
And a random shout out to Dip Catcher in the chat. There you go.
I see him in the chat. I saw him.
Shout out to him.
Who maybe not so random. Yeah, the maximum stake with original 45 years. That's I remember actually I did a AI updated HEX white paper. Well, there is no HEX white paper, but layman's guide in layman's terms. I did that.
Pretty close.
I mean, it basically is just not called white paper, but I did like an updated version. I tried to get AI to do an updated version in 2025. And anyways, it's the original. I think Dev Kyle I reposted some of his stuff that he did a while back, and some of those conversations and the way they were thinking about the T-shares and all those pieces are super interesting. So if you're interested in HEX history, it's pretty good.
Yeah. And you guys got to remember, nothing like this existed when it first came out, right? So like this is all kind of like weird new stuff, right? So I have a dilemma right at the moment. I think this month, end of this month, maybe I'll have to make a decision. I'm sitting on liquid HEX at the moment that normally don't have.
How dare you?
I know. Well, because I use like 99%, and I'm like sitting on the fence what to do with it. I like several things that are out there. I could be swapping it at perpetuals. I mean, I have a good stash of the Maximus Dow stuff. I could be making an HSI and go out Quattro. This is why I say Quattro Cinco is like the only thing that makes sense for me is I have the opportunity to do Quattro Cincos. I could do an HSI, and then with the actuator protocol, I can earn on that right away, right? Like at very little risk. I can go native, right? Which is my tendency is go native, and then go collect my COM, and with the idea that that I'm gonna I'll use COM as a way to kind of get more HEX position and all that.
Just on that real quick too, what is how do you decide whether to do HSI? Is it literally just to collect the COM? Is that your biggest factor? Or is it just like we want the truth engine in 100%?
Yeah, this one starts getting into belief systems, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a super stickler. Obviously, I'm doing some stuff out there that has nothing to do with HEX and whatnot. So I'm not super maxi. Like, there is only one token, only one way. Now, maybe I should be, but I'm not. That's kind of how.
Sir, this is HEX Bulls only.
Yeah. I got broken by the whole PulseChain. I mean, it would have been HEX only if it wasn't for PulseChain, because then I would have been able to just focus on the same thing. But then
you are hitting on some great philosophical pieces, by the way. Anytime, yeah.
Anyway, so I would end up like that. But there is a small faction now of people who are like, native stakes only because it demonstrates your commitment to the system. It matches the ethos, at least that we're learned from the system, et cetera, right? Because you're not looking to set yourself up to exit out of something you weren't really willing to commit to, and it brings a different taste, a different flavor of people. And I'm not criticizing anybody else. I'm just trying to explain why the brain mass is there. That's that. And so yeah, as part of that, the only stakes that get rewarded comp are native stakes, but that so yeah, that plays into that part. But.
Very interesting. Got a couple questions I'll get to while we take a quick break. Then we get in some data. It's actually looking at plscharts.com. Hex G side. He's also got it in the tag there. Definitely want to see. He'll talk about that a little bit more, especially since he not front and center, bottom and center. Go Real DeFi is on it listed. He's got some bonus points for me on that one, and his links to the bridge and PulseX and StakeX. Go to PulseChain.com. It's only one click. It's amazing, right? It is pretty amazing. 2 years, almost 2 years running. It's a false operation. I won't say false operation. It might have been the beginning. It might have went offline for a little bit, but it's almost flawless operation. It's pretty good, 99.9%. Yeah, I get a couple questions, and we can get some of that stuff too. Antes Sol, is the system designed in a way you can never keep up? I think that was in reference to Crispy talking earlier about the T-shares that we use. Whoever wants to take it.
Yeah, 100% it's designed that way. It's designed so that you will naturally have people exiting the system and entering the system. I can't, while it's a long cycle, 15 years, I can't just camp forever, right? So if I came in and I got great deals, and it kind of goes towards this question about some of the whales being able to dump. But if I came in 5 years ago and now I'm going to get my big payouts this year, next year, emergency end stake them, yes, that liability will hurt us today, but they'll never be able to come back in and get the same number of T-shares, right? And so the system is designed so that if you're going to participate, you cannot participate without continuing your commitment. You have to either put more value in or go for more time.
Got another one here from sorry, can't pronounce this name. Is IS. I'm gonna call you IS. Sorry, I don't want to butcher your name too much. Great, Crispy, love your work. How do you see Hex performing when big whales, 100 mil Hex, start I'm going to say dumping at higher prices?
I think they're dumbing too, but and dumbing down the pools. I think that we're going to see that, right? You're going to see it. And I think what you're going to see is what can be absorbed will be absorbed by the market, depending on the scenario and the time. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is a long game, right? Because we could have a bunch of whales that do something like that, but they'll be draining at that point in time, and it will depend on the momentum of the market, etc. Plus, if the liquidity is pretty light at the time that they do it, they're going to take huge slippage, and the market can then buy it back up and bring it back up. But yeah, we'll probably see some sort of scenario like that in this run up at some point, because fear and greed, right? People will be greedy as hell, and they'll be sitting at that 100 million waiting for the next 2x, and they might miss it. In which case they'll make it go down further later. But we'll just have to keep an eye on it. That's why I think it's important for us all to have, in crypto anyways, just have a plan for how you're planning to do your stuff. Because if you're always trying to capture the top, you might get it once in a while. Like maybe you're really going to do it all the time. But everybody doesn't sell the top because obviously they can't. They can't, right? One guy makes the top, or two, or lady.
Gong, Gita, what do y'all think about? Let's say we start running again. I'm tired of talking about penny hex. I want to start talking about dollar hex. If we get to dollar hex, $5 hex, anywhere in that realm, the whales, are they gonna make the top, or are they gonna sell down the top? How's that gonna look?
Well, it's in their best interest not to.
Well, that's why is that? Yeah, explain that. Why would they not just sell at $5?
Well, maybe Kong will mention something, or
yeah,
or Hex Geta here. What do you think, guys?
Gita.
I don't know. I think these things swing very violently in either direction. So like once the price starts running, then anyone that has significant units of Hex, they may be they may start to speculate on how far past $1 we can go. So then we may, see less sell pressure than we're seeing at the bottom. Like it's really hard to say. The whole liquidity, thing is so dynamic.
Yeah. Well, I think I don't know. There's a lot of categorizations we can come up with, but there are a category of people who just extract. And there's a category of people here that are much more on the other end, willing to build. And there's a whole bunch of people in the middle. And so you're going to have your extractors, and you're going to have people that are going to stick. And then you're going to have people that are going to be in the middle, right? I mean, it's just how it's going to, what those percentages will be. Now, why is it in their best interest not to dump? Well, I don't know, man. If right now, what if you tried to sell 200 million HEX on the market, you're going to take a 50% haircut?
Something like
that. I didn't even try. I didn't even go look. I don't know what the numbers are, but it'll be some huge number like that. Why would you take a 50% haircut on that when you probably don't need the 100 million HEX, whatever the dollar value is. Let's say it is $1. Who needs that 50 million, right? Don't you want to be the ETH whale where how long's it been now? 10 years later. You still have all your ETH at 14 cents or a whole bunch of it anyways, and you skimmed what you needed, and now you're like approaching billionaire status, if not billionaire. Don't you want that? Or do you want to be the guy that sold 10,000 BTC for a pizza? Which one do you want? And so there'll be people that'll do both. I'm sure. Some will go one way, some will go the other way. But we just can't assume all whales are just in it to extract fully. They might be thinking, hey, I'd like to live in the next 30, 40 years in luxury, and being able to extract a few million today is not enough to do that, right?
I'll add on to Crispy Man's point as well. I think I'm looking at PulseX. If you want to sell like $9.3 million of HEX, you would be able to get out about 1.3 million USDC.
Yeah, so why do that?
Exactly. So, and then the people who are selling, like, it also goes to show you if they wanted to, like, let's say they want to, or they need to sell their bags now, they're going to have to sell larger amounts of HEX to take out lower amounts of stablecoins currently. So you're better off either just waiting and then kind of supporting the ecosystem in that sort of sense, or just not selling. So that'll be another thing as well. And I think that ties into what we've seen with Richard lowering the incentive payouts and some of the liquidity being kind of not drained out of PulseChain, but
it dropped for sure. Yeah.
And what you're saying isn't like rose-colored glasses, like, oh, everything's going to be fine. Don't worry, price is not going to go down. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I don't see catastrophic, hey, everybody sells everything. It doesn't make sense. There will be some people which will affect the cycle, though.
Got another interesting piece from Dipcatcher here. So this comment. So if HEX price, I think we're talking about the HSIs and staking and all that stuff, 15 years, all that. So if HEX price goes down, you get more HEX than you would have by holding HEX and staking in that time.
I think he was talking about a token above that, or a method, some sort of protocol above that he has suggested he was looking at making.
Oh, you're right.
That would be tied to USD in some fashion.
Interesting. New Dipcatcher thing. Okay, I want to create HEX stake pools that are balanced by stablecoin. It's just interesting. Okay, I thought he was talking about this. I was like, so selling HEX, and if you think it's going to go down to get more HEX to stake, I was trying to extrapolate that. Anyway, if HEX price goes up, experience the opportunity cost of having held HEX without that portfolio. Okay. Yeah. So like you're talking about the protocol. Go ahead.
Yeah, now I don't know what he means exactly by balancing. I have a sense of what he means, but I'll give you an example. Johnny Chaos, right? He came out with a token recently that he's running as a test for the surgical trainer stuff that he's doing, and because that token initially was launched with X supply at $1, backed by $1 for that supply on the V2 market. Each token is worth $1. Right? Because I put 10,000, I'll make it up a number, put 10,000 tokens, 10,000 USDC up against each other. Yeah, there'll be slippage and whatnot, and there'll be some leakage, but they'll stay pretty close. $1, right? We all come in and buy it, price goes up. But if you sell it and nobody ever touches what he calls the cup, which is the original LP, it's going to come back to $1. It can't go any lower, assuming the stable doesn't blow up, right? The stable remains stable. So it can't go any lower than $1. So that is a stabilizing force. And I would guess that what Dipcatcher's talking about is, some connection to stables with HEX that would give you that kind of leverage.
Okay. New HEX building stuff. It'd be fun. Could be. Gents, you guys want to get into data, to charts? You want to show anything on screen? You want to talk about pictures, pretty pictures? Any beautiful pictures? The biggest, beautiful, most beautiful pictures?
Yep, I can share my screen if you
Get it. I'm waiting. I'm looking forward to it.
Bring it up here. Oh, dang. I'm on a new laptop, so I may need to. Dang. Let me see if I can just do a tab.
Oh, interesting piece here too. In Maxi, the full treasury is staked HEX 15 years. Imagine if half was held in stable, how much more HEX could be bought?
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, I agree. I see that.
All right, Hex Cheetah, what do you want to show us? What's good about the Hex coin?
Yep. So this is just a new dashboard. A lot of people have been building cool stuff in the PulseChain ecosystem recently, and I thought I'd just add mine into the mix. We've got Lightbeam from Gerardo, which is another dashboard. And yeah, I just made my own kind of one to add in case we lose GoPulse at some point. So there's this pulsecharts.com. Check it out. I've been working on the bubbles today, and I'll just slowly be working on like all the other pieces, like the leagues and stuff.
Let's get bubbly.
Very nice. Very nice.
So there's that, and then probably gonna have to do it one by one here.
Okay, no problem.
Sorry about that. Then there's the liquidity situation. So yeah, we saw this big drop in liquidity when the ink rates got slashed. Don't know if you can see my cursor there. No, you can't. Oh, there you go. Yeah, so around, when was it? February? I think that's when a lot of the liquidity started getting pulled when the ink rates got cut. And yeah, we've just been seeing like a slow decrease in the liquidity, and then a bit of a
Where are we at now for HEX?
Hunt. Well, I'm not sure if this is all the pools, but
yeah, fair enough. But I mean, approximately. What do you
say? Directionally, we're seeing it, go as low as 200 million.
Oh my God. Yeah. That is so. People don't even understand. Okay, yeah. I'm going to save the comment, but I got a comment that answers Max's question earlier about.
Well, I got a video that we should probably hit on this one. Was that the gist of it?
Yeah, that was appropriate. Yeah. Yeah. And so this is my sense of what's going on, because I think I'm probably wrong, guys, right? This is my sense of what's going on. You got a lot of smart players, and they've already taken their positions, right? And then you got like the regular people, like I count myself as like a regular person, and I'm just totally exhausted. I'm like exhausted. I'm exhausted, right? So why isn't price going up? Because I'm tired of intermediate narratives and getting disappointed, right? So I'm tired, right? I think there's probably a lot of people feel that way, right? And so so it was, and this is what you need at a bottom-ish time frame to watch this all evaporate. This is like this isn't like new science. This isn't like some new wicked science. This is how markets cycle, right? And so what we're seeing is the supply is being taken off the market, and the price is going to go through the roof. And then people are going to buy into it. We're going to have a whole slew of new people that bought in at the wrong time and were waiting for too many X's and are pissed off for another 3 years. But the ones who did position themselves properly and were already making it and already have some planning in place, they'll be able to take advantage of the monster pump that'll come.
I like monster pumps. Yeah, I just when you said that everyone pissed off for 3 more years. Oh man, everyone had a mini stroke at the thought of that. However,
well, how can it be any different, right? I mean, unless so. Yeah. So, guys, I'm sorry. I told you I'm a little weird today, but
let's do it.
I mean, how can it be any different? How can it be any different, right? I mean, one of the basic lessons that you learn in crypto, because there are some things that have utility. So don't get me wrong. We're exchanging value, right? Somebody else buys, you sell, change the value, right? That's how the value is getting changed, right? And so for everybody here who's in the chat, let's assume they're all targeting $1 million. For them all to get $1 million out, somebody's got to put $1 million in and hold the bag. That's just how it works.
Can Richard do it this time?
Well, and here's the thing is, right, there's an argument that no, the OA is going to come do it. The OA doesn't have enough funds to come in and give everybody $1 million each. It's not happening.
I wonder, and slight deviation though, but I think I've been thinking a lot about new products, and I've been talking about super app and stuff recently too, and wallet and all those things. And I got a lot more to talk about another stream with that. But just on that piece of like the OA, like can't go in and do it and all that stuff too. It makes me think of like have this idea that, again, you can talk about SAC funds, you can talk about like whatever tied to value coins outside of the core coins with value on Ethereum or whatever network. But I wonder if there is a way, and if this is part of whatever, and we're just speculating here, where there is a way for things to be absorbed and for the OA to make moves that would work. I don't know how. I know there's a lot of different theories of how it would work too. And you talk about stable coins and all this different stuff, but it just seems like that is a question I think I find very interesting of like, how could a whale in the system provide, like set it up in a way where everyone can take profits on this different ways and it still becomes valuable and everyone's incentivized to still participate, but it has this self-reinforcing mechanism too. And I know, again, there's a lot of different directions on that too, but I just think I wonder if there's something there.
So an approach, which isn't perfect, but we already have the groundwork laid for it, is a staking ladder where when your stakes come out, you scrape what you need and you recommit. That is the product market fit for HEX, right? Mm-hmm. And if everybody did that who was a staker, they'd be buffeted by the general crypto, but environment, but they would be able to enjoy that rising value over time. I mean, I think that's what I hear when you're asking about that. That's the way to do it.
Interesting. Yeah. Is there a way for everyone to take profits, take value, whatever? But is it just yeah, I mean, I could see that everyone participating in a certain way. Is there a way to do it where, again, we assume that a lot of people won't participate in that way, that there will be some extraction, but yet it still balances itself out? Maybe that's the secret, the magic sauce. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like if you boil the magic beans and eat them, right? Kill the golden goose. You don't have any more eggs. So,
In decentralized communities, yeah, not everyone's
know.
always on the same page, for better
well,
or
I
for
think
worse.
I think that's how a lot of things in PulseChain have been set up to the extent that they could be set up that way. Hex is already that way, but it's been set up for if you. That's why I say it's a long game, right? You may not get the spectacular results you want at every inning of the game, right? But here's the thing. We would end up in a situation where people would be participating, right? And they, anyways. But
What do you guys think about the early end staking? Because that, if price really does start to run, and we see a lot of early end staking, that could be a massive yield increase for people who stay staked.
Well, you're not even talking about the OA on this. I mean, when you said the first thing, I thought it was Crispy talking about the OA doing it, and other people saying that this, there's a thing that can happen, but there's speculation. But you're talking about the price goes up, people in staking outside of the OA, that being a reward for stakers and stuff too, right?
Yeah. So then the stakers get the price appreciation, and they get massive yield in the next couple of years when we get to the 7.5 year mark, for example. That's when a lot of people could forfeit their yield. So yeah, it's interesting to think about. I think we're in a really interesting moment right now where liquidity is just the lowest it's ever been, and price is starting to make kind of like these positive movements on the way up. You see that W at the bottom there, and then the OA movements, the SEC thing getting resolved. There's just a lot of factors going into, the pointing in the direction that this thing could really start ripping very soon. There's the HEX liquidity chart as well, which has just been very low consistently. But interestingly enough, I don't have this number right here, but PHEX liquidity actually dropped below EHEX liquidity at one point. I don't know if you can verify that, Crispy, but on one of the other dashboards I saw, it was lower at one point when people started pulling out. But maybe that was just Pulse on PulseChain versus on Ethereum, and it wasn't taking into account all the bridged in EHEX, like the wrapped EHEX. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah. So there's that.
Just on the whole, again, everything seems to lead back to like when the price goes up, all the pieces in place again, the liquidity, the chance of emergency and stakes happening to reward stakers. Everything seems to point of like that is the catalyst. It's like when price go up, all these things start ticking off, right? Like they all start like becoming this like realized gains, realized opportunities. I don't know. Just gotta wait.
Yep. And then I saw a few people asking for the combined HEX price chart. There's a few out there, but this is my one. I've dropped the link in the chat, and you can kind of monitor it. But we're on, around a penny HEX combined, penny and 1 cent, a penny and a tenth of a penny HEX. So yeah, there's that.
I want to see combined HEX $1. Let's fast forward 6 months from now. I want to see that. Be like, look at combined HEX. It's at $1.06 right now. Like I want to have the same exact stream, but like have the up angle.
Yeah. Yeah, we had it. It was kind of bouncing around the median price for a bit, but then dropped down. But I don't know. I think a lot of stuff changes once we start seeing higher prices. Like a lot of the liquidity comes back into the system, for the perpetuals and stuff. The Hedron auctions, there's more stuff to do there in terms of taking out loans. The whole system just comes alive once we start seeing higher prices. So
Yeah, green candles will definitely be doing that for sure, right? Because
yeah,
people will be chasing that stuff, as well as the narrative. We may even see a resurgence of hex staking if we start seeing the Mercian sticks come through.
yeah. And then this is the chart split for each coin. So what should I look at next?
Moo. I see some moos in the chat. Moo.
Okay, we can have a look at the OA stuff a tiny bit, since that I don't think too many people have seen this table. Is that the one?
It's a key point, Dip Catcher. I see that in the chat.
Talking about which one? Staking isn't the big thing for HEX anymore.
Well, I think it's a big deal, but I think it's that particular comment. I do think HEX staking is still the way to win with HEX long term. But I can't have an argument with anybody and win over the idea that they can cycle trade it, or even trade it outright. I mean, people are just doing so well with their the ratio trading. Thing is, not everybody does well. But anyways, yeah, that. But I was referring to the one down a little bit further, which is that one. It needs to be for high speculation. I think that's where we're at this juncture, right? Yeah, and so I say that as a staker. That's good for me as a staker, right? That's why that's good. It's good for me as a staker, right? I'm already staking.
Make speculation great again. That's it. All right. OA HEX 6. What do you got here?
Yeah, so this is just a page detailing the stakes that the OA made, the thousands of stakes that it made. If it will load here. Across both chains. So ETH and PulseChain, you can filter for either one. Just give me a second here. But yeah, 730 billion HEX staked. So paper value of $4 billion across both. So around 350 or so on each chain. And it was pretty much identical. And you can kind of see the bars here. So there was this, God, I can't even remember what he did now, but the OA did, I think, a 7-day stake. Then it did was it a 14-day stake?
30-day, I want to say was in there somewhere.
30-day, yeah. And then in March, it did the ladder. So it was like 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, all the way to 15 years. So
if you were an entity that had all of this paper money and never planned on selling it, how would you use it to support the ecosystem? Is it purely just a lever for monetary policy? If anyone has any ideas.
That might be a long question.
I would think it's a really good question. I would think it would depend. Like from the OA's perspective, and like I guess from the actions we've seen him take, he might use it to sort of govern, like his. I'm saying his. I don't know if it's no one. I guess no one knows who the OA is, right? But I guess you could use it as a way to kind of govern the yield and kind of govern the system in a sort of sense. And I guess if you wanted to kind of play around with the T-share rate, or like if you wanted to speed up the T-share rate growth, you could do so as well if you had a large amount of coins. But in terms of what his game plan is, I think he's just looking for like long-term sustainability. So, and I think that's what we've always seen from the OA. And whatever actions he does decide to do with his HEX, I think it'll be towards like the long-term sustainability. But I guess he could use it even in the future for like maybe he provides some sort of liquidity with the OA hex or OA yield or something like that. So we'll see.
Yeah, there are some things that'll probably happen that we haven't thought of, right? That we couldn't possibly think of. I mean, Dip Catcher was the only one calling out the idea that the OA could do all the staking, right, and bring down the rate. There could be other technology that I don't understand today how it would work and be supportive. And I know, again, Dip is working on something like that with the L2. There could be some other things that come. I mean, Actuator was a surprise to me in that I didn't really hear about it till it was about ready to launch. And I didn't really understand that it was another lending methodology. I mean, we have a lot of tools, right? So there's going to be more things that'll come I just don't know what they're going to be.
Gita, could you press hit the log button on this chart so it looks a little bit better? Oh, it's not the price chart. Never mind. Sorry. Just kidding. Hex Bulls only. Hex Bulls only. This is a good chart. This is a bullish chart. Tell us why bullish, Def. Tell us why bullish.
Yeah, this is Gerardo's site, Look into Hex. I think most people know it, but if you don't, definitely check it out. There is a chart under shares, which shows the daily payout. And it went from, it was increasing. We saw this kind of like steady march up, going from 6 to 7. If you've been following the Hex Alerts Twitter bot, you got the updates. And so it's just marching up as new stakes end. I guess Crispy can explain this better than me, but as new stakes end, there's the T-share rate, which is going up. There's the total supply of Hex, which is also slightly going up. And then there's also just fewer. It's harder to make T-shares, so there's like fewer T-shares available. So that puts pressure on it going up, and it kind of acts as this kind of compounding effect over time. It's not actual compounding, but it's kind of like has the same effect essentially. And that with the OA staking, you saw from one day to the next drop down, kind of like a Bitcoin halvening, where the mining rewards get cut in half. That went from 7 to 2 during that 30-day period. And then once the ladder got staked, now we're around 1.5 or so. So
yeah. And what I just caveat for you there, throw in there, is while the Hex is an awful lot like Bitcoin in a lot of ways, in this way it's not like a halvening of the rewards. The rewards are going up every day. It's that we now have more participants, more shares. And because we have more shares, the rate per share has gone down. All right.
You're right.
You might be able to liken the T-share rate increase to the halvenings. I think that's true. But as far as this this amount, and so the big deal here is every time somebody ends a stake, or good accounts and penalties are paid that didn't exist before, you get a certain amount of Hex that gets newly minted. And newly minted Hex inflates 3.69% a year. And so, there's always an ever increasing amount of Hex that is that is on the contract. Well, not on the contract, but number that we can retrieve from the contract that gets multiplied by the constant that gives you the more Hex. And that's why the payouts will always gravitate upwards for a given number of T-shares. And why when you come in and you do a stake, your APR, your APY floats upwards and to the right. Now it can change, right? Like we saw with the OA came in and did a bunch of staking, right? But I mean, who can... all that can do is come up now, right? I mean, if some emergency end stake scenario comes out, I mean, people cannot go make these number of T-shares, right? It's just not possible. So so what we'll see is this just slowly climb, and without serious emergency end staking, I'm guessing it'll double over 15 years the payout.
Yeah. I guess it's more akin to the number of miners having increased, right?
Yes.
But since the extra miners that have just joined the pool is the OA, and we're kind of confident that he's not going to dump the price of Bitcoin to pay for electricity, so to speak.
Right.
It does kind of act like a halvening, doesn't it?
It does effectively, sure. Yeah, I get in terms of availability. But here's another thing I'm unwilling to do at this point. I'm unwilling to assume the OA is going to do anything, or not do anything. Right. I mean, I did not anticipate, even though it was talked about a lot and we had those great debates, I hadn't anticipated that the whole 40% APR thing would be thrown out the window.
Yeah.
Like that's just not there. Well, but hey, listen, things change, right? So we adapt, move on. So that's not what it is. So what is the value proposition of staking X? Is you can earn competitive real life, rewards, comparative to the treasuries, right? Using X, but it creates a pivot point, a point of contention. Maybe, I don't know what the right word is to use, right terminology use for this, but it still gives us a decision point where you either have to believe or don't believe. If you believe, you can believe the price will go up someday. If you don't believe and you think the price is going to go down, then obviously the staking is the silliest thing ever, right? And so it's another litmus test as to whether you believe in the HEX system and whether you'll stick with it.
I believe. Also, these girls believe.
Bitcoin, Ethereum, and so many coins. Which coin is the best? Is it too late to buy Bitcoin? Why must cryptocurrency be so confusing? When you need clear answers, go to Richard Hart. The smartest man in crypto, Richard Hart. Richard Hart started mining Bitcoins on his graphic card in 2011. Richard knows his crypto stuff. Crypto Smart with Richard Hart. Check out his YouTube channel.
Crypto
I believe.
Smart with Richard Hart.
That's a great catchphrase. Those girls believe.
Quickens my pulses. Yep.
Yeah, I think it's always interesting to see. Just think about, again, Chris, I agree with you. Say, like, having no expectations that the OA of anything the OA will do, because he has shocked the world with. He must have read Dipcatcher's Twitter at one point and thought, "Hey, that's a good idea. Let me go do that."
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. I'm not saying the OA is not benevolent or wouldn't act benevolently. What I'm saying is, listen, I didn't know the OA was going to put up LP against Hedron to stop the drain, right? I didn't know that the OA was going to do a lot of things. And so there would have to be really good reason for the OA to do something like rotate value from HEX to something else. But I wouldn't just say it couldn't happen. I wouldn't say give it a 0% chance at this point, right? Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at.
But if we do go with the benevolent well theory, which again, this is shocking things have happened that have been very unexpected, but there's definitely a clear trail to say, oh, this is for a good reason. This is this is benevolent. Right, like it's very hard to put together. Again, depending, everyone feels differently, and it affects everyone differently, and all that. But overall, for the system, for everything, it seems like these monetary policies have been made in an attempt to benefit the ecosystem at large.
I believe that, but I know there are people that don't believe that.
Yeah.
And so that's what I mean. It's about it being
maybe it's not. Maybe it turns. I guess we'll see. Like if it turns out to be like, oh no, this is now nobody wants to use HEX because they were only going to use it for staking before, and now there's no APY. So why are they going to use it now? If that becomes like a really hard part of onboarding, then there's a case to be made against it too. I got to go with Big Brain Junior being a genius guy. He probably.
Well, you remember we were on that side. Remember we were on a month or two ago. I think. Was it Ben was with us, right, Ben?
Yeah, the last.
I took the position that it sucked that we lost all the yield, right? And he had taken the position of the X's on dollars, but that's really what it is. I mean, it's the teeter-totter. So you're going to get less payout, in terms of units, but it'll be at a much higher price. So how do you make the much higher price? And that's the phase we're going into now. Well, a lot of people just won't care, right? When that happens, because they'll be able to speculate on very volatile prices, I believe. But,
Yeah.
Any other? I know, Kong, did you have a and Cheetah, if you have any other charts you want to bring up, feel free as well. But I think Kong had a chart you want to bring up too.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'll bring up I'll bring up
Hexfire.io
calculators. Yeah, I'll bring up
I
a few
don't know if it's
calculators.
smart.
Yeah. I know that side.
I have two to bring up, like two that I'll kind of show off here. One of them is yours, Crispy Man, and then I don't know how long you guys are going for, but I'll have to drop off after that as well. So
yeah, not too much longer. We may be synergized on time.
Let's see what
yeah.
you pull up, because I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Crispy's like, I have made so much content, I don't even remember what it is.
All right, I was gonna share it. You don't remember this? I'm sure you remember this. I'm sure you know.
Oh yeah.
I remember that.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So, I mean, I'll start with this. This will be like the first half. This is 1 million hex staked for 555, and I think these APYs are using some of the old payouts. So
Yeah,
just for what it's worth, yeah, and it's no problem. Like, and I'm not even like this. I'll pull up the other hex calc for. I think this one has like a little bit more accurate figures there, but in terms of this, I think it still like has the best graph to kind of go to show like the difference even between like here on the 5-year or on the 10 years in to your 15-year stake versus that final like 5-year push there. But here on like the old, like kind of the old structure of hex and the old example, if just for example, if you had staked for the 10 years, approximately your ROI in hex is about 138%. So about 1.3 million hex. That extra 5 years, if you just, I guess if you hold on for a little bit longer, get this tooltip to load. But yeah, 421% ROI in hex. So that's almost like maybe 3 times more yield just in that last 5 years in compounding. So I'm not saying like these are the numbers we're going to see like this time around, but this is kind of why I've preached and why I preach like Quattro Cincos in terms of hex, just because of this like compounding effect and this compounding factor with it. So here with hex calc as well. Crispy, do you want to jump in with something?
I was just going to ask, when you get a chance, we'll go back to that. I want you to select a different item on it. Go ahead with this.
I'll pull it up again.
Well, yeah, just hit F1 for me, will you? Let's just see what it does. Does it look a little bit different? Yeah. Okay. All right, thank you.
Yeah, let me see if I can load this.
This one looks a little bit more like what reality is. The KS estimate is back when A-Bit and Patrick from KSB TV, we did like an expert interview about what the payouts and the number of t-shirts would be in the future, blah blah blah, and that's why that was such a bigger number, the KS estimate.
And I think even this looks pretty good as well. On the F2, like even compared to this calculator. So
Yep. All right, thank you.
yeah, no, it looks good. Even here, I'll do the example of like you have 1 million hex for 10 years, it's approximately 43% ROI, versus the 555 Quattro Cinco is about 57% APY. So you're able to, and that's not including any like early on. Maybe it is including some early and stake penalties in that.
No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't project that at all.
It wouldn't project that at all.
No.
So yeah, it could be more, could be less, but I think kind of the point is like you compound something for longer, and you'll likely have more at the end of the day. So yeah, that's pretty much what I was going to share. And then here as well, I think this is hexcalc.net. They have a good calculator as well. Even this one's like pretty. This one's pretty. Shows pretty nice yields as well. And I think that APY looks about right as well. So, but I don't know. Just for the moon math, like I think we were talking about the $50 hex earlier. I don't know if this will ever happen, but if I think if the OA or if Richard or if whoever or if Hex is going to compete with like CDs and like traditional finance in that large like sector in that sort of sense, like maybe this is something that is possible. And then on top of that, it's like the APY, now that it's been lowered, I think to people that might look a little bit more like a real yield when compared to like a 37%. Like people are like, oh no, it's maybe they have like the jerk reaction to that, but this
Scam.
looks, yeah, right, so,
Scam. You are scam. Not even
Fine,
scam. You are scam.
Sign me up.
yeah. So where can I sign up?
That's right.
So, but yeah,
It's a great
but yeah,
calculator.
pretty cool stuff. Here is like,
real quick, does anyone know who made this calculator? I don't know who to like think. Who made this?
No idea.
Awesome.
I knew, but I forgot.
Okay.
But it's been
It's a
around.
good
It's part. Isn't it part of? I don't know. I think it was part of the Hex Wiki, but I don't
Shout out
remember.
to whoever did. If you're watching this, we appreciate it. It's awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate it as well. We use this all the time. I use it too.
yeah, it's such a good calculator. So,
What?
Yeah.
Sorry, what? Con, were you going to say with the numbers though?
oh yeah, just with the moon math, USD $50 hex, and we're projecting that out into the future. But your principal would be worth about 50 million if you had 1 million hex today, and your interest would be about 42 million if you approximately, right, projected with it is projected with the 1.6 p hex per t-share payout. So
So what's a reasonable number for like a normal person to have staked at this point? When we say the 100,000, 200,000 range.
Ain't nobody normal in Hex. But go ahead.
Yeah, and Hex like 200,000. Would you say 100,000? I'd probably go with 100,000.
we'll do, this is 180,000 stake, and then I also for more conservative price estimate as well, but you could see 180,000, and then your principal would turn into theoretically $1 million,
If you did it that way, yeah.
and your yield would
I like to do-
be 857.
I like to do like 1 million Hex and then over just a year and just do a 10x in price and just show people like literally, you know, I mean, like the staking payout is so small you can even almost ignore it at that point. But just the idea of holding it for a year, and if it went up 10x, like that's the point of like the, you know, I like to bring out too with the shorter ones. It's like even if you just hold it and it goes up that much, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, $1 million right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's an important point, right? People need to understand what they're doing, what they want to do.
Yeah,
And that's
I don't
20.
even
That's
think this
20.
is quite
That's
a
20
10x.
million. That's 20 million Hex that you put in there, right?
20 million hex, 180 grand. Yeah. For a year, and that yields you 20,000, which I think that is pretty like, that's fairly competitive, I would say. Like that's really good actually. So you can see your principal as well.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's roughly. I don't know what the percentage comes out to it. What's 20K at 1.2? 20%, a little bit less than 20%.
I think the ROI, it says here like less than 2, but yeah.
Yeah, just thinking about it, you know, number wise for passive income.
I mean, you gentlemen have convinced me to invest in Hex token, so well done.
No, I don't want you to buy anything. So
I mean, based on your strict financial advice you've given explicitly to me, the Hex token looks like a good buy, from what I understand.
yeah, I think again, you kind of I appreciate your humor.
Just kidding. No financial advice. We avoid
Yeah.
financial advice in all forms in the show.
I do think that massive price appreciation will change the viewpoint on a lot of this stuff, right? Just like Kong was just showing, suddenly HSIs for 100,000 hex, if you already had the hex and you didn't have to put up more right then, would be super awesome, because at $5, that's 500K. You drop it in something like Actuator, and you're able to borrow $500,000 or some amount, maybe some discounted amount, for $300,000, and but you still have the stake. It's yours. I mean, you'd be able to go use Earn protocol or the Flex protocol, and borrow against it and create your own stables. I mean, there's so many different things when the numbers are that big, right?
What's the play right now with Actuator, Crispy? Because I've dabbled in it a tiny bit, but last time I checked, you were still better off buying discounted like perps, but that may have changed. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know that I have a head-to-head with Maxi versus Maxi or Deci versus this.
Mm-hmm.
But looking at it in isolation with the Actuator, you can go buy future hex at a discount in hex.
How much is it now? It's less than 1 hex.
Yeah, they vary. It depends on the HTT you're going to get, but one is right around 60 and the other's a little bit less than that, discounted 60%. And so the concept is kind of like on the purchase of a bond, you're locking in, in the case of a day 5,000 HTT, something like 14 to 17% APR. Because if you hold that token for the entire time, it actually appreciates that much, right? Because it becomes one. You got it for less than one, and it becomes one after the time served. So then at that point, you can redeem for one, but it also remains liquid during that period of time, which allows you to put it into LP, which currently pays about 50% APR in their revenue token. So that's the proposition. There is to take hex and put it into the HTT system, the Actuator system, with nearly zero risk. You have price risk and all the normal crypto risk, but nearly zero risk of impermanent loss. I mean, I can't even think of a situation where you'd have impermanent loss, because you always get a hex for everything that you had done. It's fully backed, and so it puts hex to work.
Yeah, but it's redeemable for 1 hex, right? As opposed to the perps where it's
on the day. Yeah, on the day when the time comes. Yeah.
Got it.
And I say that I know that Max was trying to end, so I don't try to get too deep. It's an excellent protocol. We got some videos out there that different channels have been doing. You take a look at it and see. It really could be it's really an opportunity to bring new people into hex from TradFi, as well as benefit those of us who are here already.
I'll just share C3 Work spoke at the HEX conference. I know Crispy's done a bunch of streams as well, but this is the most recent, I think, explanation I would want to say that happened maybe 3 weeks or so ago at the Pulse conference 2055. So I just posted that link in the chat if you want to take a look. Yeah. I got to have C3 back on the show sometime too. I love people building on HEX. It's just one of my favorite things. It's amazing, especially in this. And once we have you can say we already have all the products, but all the new innovation, the new pieces coming up, whatever is getting people interested, locking up supply, giving utility, whatever it is, then that's something I always like to talk about and support people and stuff on. So very cool stuff. Gents, let's take it out from Crispy to Jita and HEX Kong. And what do you want to take us out on? Maybe one brief bullish thing, one word, 2 words, bullish HEX thing, along with it. Crispy up first.
I'll just say 5555.
5555. Everyone, can't go wrong saying that. I like it. Like X at hexfire.io. What about you, Hex Cheetah?
I'm very bullish on the community. So just the energy on Twitter. I've been doing a bunch of live streams of the price. A lot of
That's
people
right.
jumping on board with that. So yeah, lots of energy.
Shout out to you for
lots of-
trying new things on that too. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Energy. I like it. 5, 5, 5, 5. Energy. They had 5 5s on that. It's okay. There's a lot of 5s. Kong. What
Yeah.
bull? What bull?
Say
Moo.
thanks for having me
Moo.
on. It was nice streaming with you, Crispy Man, again. Nice streaming with you again, Max, and nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Jada. So
Good to meet you,
We
man.
like to connect people on the
There's-
RHMax.tv.
RHMax,
You too,
you always
Pong.
have like the coolest crew on, so I'm always glad to be a part of it. So yeah,
Try.
um,
You make it
yeah,
cool, man.
make sure to compound your gains, guys.
Compound the gains. All right, I'll take that as the moo. Let's get bullish, everyone. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Get that out of me every once in a while. Let's do. You know what? Let's do this.
So you know you're in trouble when your extra large road weight belt don't fit no more. I guess I haven't been lifting on the cardio machine so much. So I'll give lifting this heavy crap a try. Let's give it a shot.
And I was on mute the entire time. What's the founder? Pump that iron. Let's do it. That's a man. We're in
It's
HEX
actually a
shirt.
lot of weight, though.
I've been trying to figure it out. I think that's some 90s and some 45s. I think it's around 300 or 400 pounds. I'm not sure. Someone correct me. I want to give it to AI and be like, count these weights, because I don't lift as much anymore. But
Giving out.
love his commentary too.
I could do that.
He's
with
like,
40.
if only my hands were stronger than my back and my shoulders, then I would have pumped it harder. That's what he was trying to say. Was that an innuendo for pumping the price? We don't know, but I'd like to think so. Let's do it. Who knows? All right, everyone. That's all we got for you today. Sci Vive and 5555. We are out.